backup. Let's talk about backing up things.
Let's talk about backup.
Like you wait to the very last moment before you decide. Like you don't really think about it. You're like, oh yeah, like it's fine. And the next thing, you lose a file or photo or something, and then you realize, oh, you should have backed things up.
You know, we used external hard drives with a kind of dock system where you would take kind of a bare hard drive and slot it into a dock attached to various computers. And because of the nature of the work, we had various lab computers that we were using. And so every time you plug the hard drive into the dock, there's a chance that, you know, if you eject the drive improperly or you jostle the drive while it's working, there's a chance that you can corrupt data. And that's basically what happened to me. I don't know how it happened, but one of the drives became corrupted. We didn't really notice until later. There was this weird thing where some of the data on the drive was fine, but some of the files were corrupted and were not fine.
Traditionally, we see this 3-2-1 data backup proposal. So that you should have 3 copies of your data on 2 different platforms and kind of like one off-site.
I feel pretty good about the backup practices. I find that we're doing a great job uploading the documents onto MacDrive. I believe Sarah also has it connected to her computer as well, so that leads to the extra chain of storage. And then in addition, I also store them on my computer. So that's how we've been able to make sure that we have backups on all the documents. So I feel pretty good about it.
I've worked for a long time to have multiple systems of backups going on. That's part of my regular practice as a researcher and as an academic. And so I do have multiple systems of backup going on.
The data backup, for example, of the family-friendly community resource data that we collected, I did not feel very comfortable about that for some time because we would get additional iterations of those data as the years went by, and most of the time we were using Dropbox, shared Dropbox folders, for example, which was not the best. So you always have copies there, but then there would be overlapping or overriding files that would be saved. And so at this point now we've switched to shared OneDrive, and with the naming and saving practices that we've adopted through the Data Champions program, I'm feeling much more comfortable about that now. But yeah, before it would be data that we thought were on childcare facilities in Ontario, but it actually would have been for Alberta, and we're working out some of those details while we're analyzing the data, which should never happen.
So our data is backed up in 2 places. The first is SharePoint. So we work in Teams mostly, and it does like its automatic backup at the back somehow. And then the second backup is in Sail. So like I said, we get our data, we put things in Sail, and then we have a plan that at the end of every project that we have it backed up in SharePoint, but we also have a copy in Sail as well. So it's going to be secure in there, and we can always refer to it if we need to. So we have like 2 different places where we back up, and I think that's like pretty good practice. So I'm happy with that.
We use our data on SharePoint. In my personal life, I use Backblaze, but I don't know if that's really helpful, and I don't really want to endorse it per se. Yeah.
Keep it simple, password protected, use visuals. If you're a visual person, it makes it easier, makes it accessible to your partners, because now in this era, we're about accountability and transparency.
I think it's also important that whatever backup system you use is automatic. It shouldn't rely on you remembering to push a button every day or once a week or whenever it is, because people get busy and those habits are easy to allow fall by the wayside. So those are my primary suggestions: is make sure you have your data backed up in multiple different places, and that you have a system that does it automatically without your intervention on a regular basis.
This is a really different kind of conversation in an age of cloud computing. sometimes if you put data in kind of like SharePoint or OneDrive, it'll be backed up by the system. But it's not entirely clear what would happen if your data was compromised through a malware attack, or how the data would kind of be restored if it were lost somehow. And so this is something we're working on guidance-wise at the university level to kind of better articulate those systems. But although there have been some developments, that same rule still applies, that you need at least a few copies of your data on different platforms, because if one platform is compromised, it can kind of really, even the backups are affected by a malware attack.
This series is brought to you by SPARC, a Center for Social Research Innovation.